I'm Angela, 27, and this still makes my blood boil. My own sister destroyed my 15-year-old daughter's brand new car, and then she had the nerve to call the cops on my child. This story is intense, and you'll want to watch this to the very end because the twist still shocks me. Before I continue, please like this video, subscribe, and comment where in the US you're watching from. New York, Texas, California, Florida. I'm always curious. Let me take you back to where this nightmare started. My daughter, Emily, she's 15 years old, and she is the most hardworking kid I have ever known. I'm not just saying that because I'm her mom. This girl has been babysitting since she was 12. She'd walk dogs in the neighborhood every single weekend, rain or shine. She tutored younger kids in math after school. She saved every single dollar she made. Every single dollar. While other kids her age were spending money on clothes and makeup and going to the movies, Emily had a goal. She wanted a car. Not because she was materialistic, not because she wanted to show off, but because she wanted independence. She wanted to help me out. She wanted to be able to drive herself to school when she turned 16, to get herself to work, to not have to rely on me for every little thing. And me? I'm a single mom. I work 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. My ex hasn't been in the picture for years, so it's just been me and Emily against the world. Watching her work so hard, watching her sacrifice so much at such a young age that broke my heart and made me so proud at the same time. So when her 15th birthday came around, I made a decision. I had been saving too, working extra shifts, cutting corners wherever I could. And I bought her a car. It wasn't brand new from the dealership, but it was new to us. A beautiful, clean, gently used car that was absolutely perfect for a teenager. The look on her face when I showed it to her, I will never forget that moment as long as I live.
She cried.
I cried. We stood there in the driveway hugging and crying together because this car represented so much more than just transportation. It represented her hard work paying off. It represented hope. It represented our future getting a little bit easier. Now, I need to tell you about my sister. Her name is Monica, and she's 32 years old. We used to be close when we were younger, but something changed over the years. She became bitter, jealous,
Competitive about everything.
She has 2 kids, a 16-year-old son named Dylan and a 14-year-old daughter named Chloe. And don't get me wrong, they're good kids, but Monica has always compared them to Emily. Always. If Emily got good grades, Monica would make comments about how Dylan's school was harder, so his grades were more impressive. If I took Emily somewhere nice, Monica would post on social media about how she couldn't afford to take her kids anywhere because some people have it easier. It was exhausting. But she's my sister, you know? So I tried to maintain the relationship. I tried to be patient. I tried to understand that maybe she was struggling with her own insecurities. But the day she saw Emily's car, everything changed. I should have known something was wrong the moment she pulled up to my house that afternoon. Emily had only had the car for 3 days. 3 days. We were still in that excited honeymoon phase with it. Emily was outside washing it, making it shine, treating it like the precious gift it was. And Monica pulls up and immediately her face just drops. No smile, no congratulations, nothing. She gets out of her car and just stares. Then she looks at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Pure venom. You bought her a car? She said, her voice dripping with accusation. Not, that's amazing, or good for Emily, just accusation. Like I had committed some kind of crime. I tried to explain. I told her about how hard Emily had worked, how she'd saved her own money, how this was partially her reward and partially to help both of us out in the long run. Monica didn't want to hear it. She cut me off and said, Dylan is 16. He's older than Emily. He's been asking for a car for a year. But I can't afford one because I don't have money to just throw around like you apparently do. Throw around? Throw around? I work myself to the bone for this. I sacrifice sleep, meals, any semblance of a social life. But to Monica, it looked like I was just showing off. Just rubbing my success in her face. I tried to stay calm. I told her that every family is different, every situation is different, and that when she was ready and able to get Dylan a car, that would be wonderful. But she wasn't having it. She started getting louder, more aggressive. She said it was unfair that Emily got everything handed to her. Handed to her. My daughter worked for 3 years to save money and Monica was standing there calling it handed to her. Then came the demand. And this is where things started to get really ugly. Monica looked me dead in the eye and said, "Well, since Emily can't even drive it yet because she doesn't have her license, Dylan should be able to use it. He has his license. He could actually drive it. It's only fair." I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. But she wasn't laughing. She was dead serious. She wanted my daughter's car, the car Emily had worked for, the car I had sacrificed for, to be handed over to her son because it was only fair. I said no. Of course I said no. And I tried to be polite about it. I said, "Monica, I understand Dylan wants a car, but this is Emily's car. She earned it. When she gets her permit and then her license, she'll be driving it. I'm sorry, but the answer is no." You would have thought I had slapped her across the face. She exploded. Started yelling about how I always thought I was better than her, how I was raising Emily to be spoiled and entitled, how I was a terrible sister for not sharing family resources. Family resources? It was MY money. My car that I bought for MY daughter. But Monica was beyond reason at that point. She stormed off, got in her car, and peeled out of my driveway. Emily came over to me, her eyes wide with shock, and asked if Aunt Monica was okay. Sweet, innocent Emily, worried about the woman who had just screamed at us. I told her not to worry about it, that adults sometimes have disagreements, and that everything would be fine. I was so wrong. Everything was not going to be fine. By the way, if you're still watching at this point, you clearly love good stories. So why not subscribe? And if you won't subscribe, at least tell me why in the comments. I can take it. For the next few days, Monica blew up my phone. Text after text after text. Some were guilt trips about how I was destroying our family. Some were sob stories about how hard her life was. Some were outright demands that I do the right thing and let Dylan use the car. I stopped responding after the first day because it was clear that nothing I said was going to get through to her. She was living in her own reality, where she was the victim and I was the villain. I thought maybe she'd cool off, maybe she'd realize how ridiculous she was being, maybe we could eventually talk about this like adults. But Monica had other plans. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because I had just gotten home from my morning shift at the hospital where I work as a nurse. I was exhausted. Emily was at school. The car was parked in our driveway, exactly where it had been every day. I went inside, kicked off my shoes, and was about to make myself some lunch when I heard it. A crash. A loud, sickening crash followed by the sound of glass shattering. My heart dropped into my stomach. I ran to the window and looked out, and what I saw made me feel like I was going to throw up. Emily's car. The beautiful car that had been perfect just moments ago. The windshield was smashed. There were huge dents in the hood and on the side. Deep, angry scratches running along the doors. And standing next to it, breathing hard, holding a baseball bat, was Monica, my sister, my own flesh and blood. She looked up, saw me in the window, and for just a second, I saw something in her eyes. Not regret, not shame, but satisfaction. Like she had finally gotten revenge for some imagined slight. I don't even remember running outside. 1 second I was at the window, and the next I was standing in my driveway, staring at the destruction, unable to process what I was seeing. "What did you do?" I whispered. My voice wouldn't work properly. I was in shock. Monica dropped the bat, and immediately her whole demeanor changed. She started crying, fake crying, the kind of crying that's all performance and no real tears. "It was an accident," she wailed. "I just came over to talk to you, and I tripped, and the bat hit the car, and then I panicked, and I don't know what happened." An accident? An accident? The windshield was completely destroyed. There were multiple dents. The scratches were clearly deliberate. And she tripped while holding a baseball bat that she just happened to bring over to talk. I told her to get off my property. My voice was shaking. I was trying so hard not to completely lose it. She kept insisting it was an accident, kept crying, kept making excuses.
But I saw what I saw.
I saw the satisfaction in her eyes before she knew I was watching. That's when Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor from across the street, came rushing over. She's this sweet older lady who's lived in the neighborhood for like 30 years. She looked horrified. She looked at the car, then at Monica, then at me, and she said, "Angela, honey, I saw the whole thing. My doorbell camera caught everything. This was no accident." Monica's face went white. Completely white. She started stammering, trying to come up with a new story, but Mrs. Patterson wasn't having it. She told Monica she should leave before the police were called. And Monica? She ran, got in her car, and drove away without another word. I called Emily's school and explained there was a family emergency. When she got home and saw her car, she collapsed. Just sat down on the driveway and sobbed. This car that she had worked so hard for, that represented so much to her, was destroyed. And it was destroyed by her own aunt out of pure, petty jealousy. I held my daughter while she cried, and I have never felt rage like I felt in that moment. Mrs. Patterson brought over her doorbell footage. We watched it together, and it was even worse than I thought. Clear as day, Monica walking up the driveway, looking around to make sure no one was watching, pulling the bat out from behind her back, and then just going to town on the car. Methodical, deliberate, hitting it over and over again. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was planned. Real quick, if this situation would have made you furious too, hit that subscribe button. Or comment why you're choosing not to. I'm genuinely curious who watches these without subscribing. I called Monica. She didn't answer. I called her husband, Brian. He answered on the first ring, and before I could even speak, he said, "I know. She just got home and told me. Angela, I am so sorry. I don't know what's gotten into her lately. She's been obsessed with this car situation, and I thought she was just venting, but I never thought." His voice broke. He sounded genuinely distraught. I told him about the footage. I told him that we had clear evidence that this was intentional. He went quiet for a long moment, and then he said, "Show me." I sent him the video. 5 minutes later, he called back, and he was furious. Not at me, at Monica. He told me he would handle it, that he would make sure Emily's car was fixed, that he would pay for everything. I told him that wasn't enough. This wasn't just about the car anymore. This was about my sister deliberately destroying my daughter's property, out of jealousy. This was about her lying about it. This was about the emotional damage she had caused Emily. Brian agreed. He said he would bring Monica over to apologize in person, and that they would figure out how to make this right. But Monica had one more trick up her sleeve. One more absolutely insane move that I never saw coming. About an hour after I hung up with Brian, there was a knock on my door. I opened it expecting to see Monica and Brian, ready for some uncomfortable but necessary conversation. Instead, I saw 2 police officers. My stomach dropped. One of them said, "Are you Angela Morrison?" I said yes. He said, "We received a call about a dispute involving vehicle damage. We need to speak with you and your daughter, Emily." I was confused. I had been planning to file a police report about what Monica did, but I hadn't done it yet. Why were they here? I let them in and called for Emily. She came downstairs, her eyes still red from crying. The officers were very professional, very calm. They explained that they had received a call from Monica claiming that Emily had vandalized her car, that my 15-year-old daughter had apparently gone to Monica's house and keyed her car and smashed her mirrors. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. It was so absurd, so ridiculous, so clearly a lie that I laughed. The officers didn't laugh. They said they had to investigate all claims and asked where Emily had been that afternoon. Emily, bless her heart, was terrified. She'd never been in trouble in her life, and here were police officers in our living room asking her about vandalism. I could see her hands shaking. I explained to the officers that Emily had been at school all day, that I had picked her up from school after our car had been vandalized, and that my sister Monica was the one who had actually destroyed our car. The officers exchanged glances. I could tell they were starting to piece together what was really happening here. One of them asked if I had any proof of what I was claiming. I showed them the footage from Mrs. Patterson's doorbell camera. They watched it in silence. When it finished, the older officer shook his head and said, "Ma'am, this is a clear case of filing a false police report. Your sister called this in knowing it wasn't true. That's a crime." He asked if I wanted to press charges. And honestly, in that moment, watching my daughter's terrified face, thinking about how Monica had not only destroyed her car, but then tried to get her arrested for it, I wanted Monica to face consequences for what she'd done. But before I could answer, there was another knock at the door. If you're still here listening to this chaos, you're basically family now.
So subscribe.
And if not, comment why. Don't leave me wondering. It was Brian. And he was dragging Monica behind him. She looked like she'd been crying. Real crying this time. The officers stepped outside to speak with them. Emily and I watched through the window as Brian showed the officers something on his phone, as Monica gestured wildly, as the whole scene unfolded on our front lawn. After about 10 minutes, the officers came back inside. They told us that Monica had admitted to vandalizing our car. They told us that she had filed the false report in a panic, trying to deflect blame. They told us that she could be charged with vandalism, destruction of property, and filing a false police report. They asked us again what we wanted to do. I looked at Emily, my strong, hardworking, devastated daughter. And I told the officers that I wanted the car fixed, and I wanted Monica to stay away from us. The officer nodded and said that was reasonable. They went back outside and spoke with Brian and Monica for a while longer. I could see Monica arguing, could see the officers getting firmer with her. Finally, they left. Brian came to the door alone.
He looked exhausted.
He apologized again, said that Monica would be getting professional help, and promised that the car would be fixed and that we'd never have to deal with this again. Over the next few weeks, Brian kept his word. He paid for all the repairs to Emily's car. It actually came back looking even better than before. He sent multiple apologies on behalf of his family. But Monica? Radio silence. Not a single word from her. Not an apology, not an acknowledgement, nothing. And then, about a month after the incident, I got a Facebook message from her. No apology. Instead, it was a long rant about how I had ruined her life. How her husband was threatening to leave her because of my lies. How her kids were embarrassed at school because word had gotten out about what happened. How I had destroyed her reputation in the family by making her look crazy. I read that message 3 times, each time getting angrier. She had destroyed my daughter's car. She had traumatized my child. She had tried to get Emily arrested. And somehow, in her twisted mind, I was the villain in this story. I blocked her. On everything. Facebook, Instagram, her phone number, her email. I was done. I told the rest of our family what had happened, showed them the video evidence, and made it clear that Monica was not welcome around Emily or me anymore. Some family members understood. Others tried to play peacemaker, saying family should forgive family, that Monica was going through something. But I stood firm. This wasn't about holding a grudge. This was about protecting my daughter from someone who had proven they were willing to hurt her out of pure jealousy. Seriously, if you've made it this far into the story, you clearly enjoy the content. So subscribe, or at least explain your refusal in the comments. No pressure, sorta. Emily got her permit a few months later. Watching her drive her car for the first time, seeing the pure joy on her face, it was healing. We had been through something traumatic together, something that never should have happened, but we came out stronger. She knows now that I will always protect her, always fight for her, always choose her well-being over appeasing toxic people, even if those toxic people are family. And that's a lesson that's worth more than any car. I haven't spoken to Monica since that day. Brian and I have a cordial relationship for the sake of the kids seeing each other occasionally, but it's supervised and brief. Monica isn't part of those visits. I heard through the grapevine that she and Brian are in marriage counseling, that she's supposedly getting therapy for her issues. I hope that's true. I hope she gets the help she needs. But that doesn't mean I'm opening my door to her again. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And some people show you exactly who they are, and you have to believe them. Looking back on everything, I sometimes wonder if I could have handled things differently. Could I have not bought Emily the car? Could I have hidden it better from Monica? Could I have done more to address Monica's jealousy before it exploded? But then I remember that I did nothing wrong. I rewarded my hardworking daughter. I supported her goals. I gave her a gift that she had earned. Monica's reaction was hers alone. Her jealousy, her destruction, her lies, those were her choices, not mine. And I refuse to take responsibility for another adult's inability to control their emotions and actions. The hardest part was explaining to Emily why her aunt did what she did. How do you explain to a 15-year-old that sometimes adults act worse than children? That sometimes people who are supposed to love you will hurt you because of their own issues? That jealousy can turn someone you thought you knew into a stranger? Emily is a smart kid, though. She understood. She was hurt, but she understood. And she learned something valuable too. She learned that working hard and achieving your goals might make some people happy for you, but it might make others resentful. She learned that you can't dim your own light to make others comfortable. She learned that sometimes the people who should be celebrating you will be the ones trying to tear you down. I've had people tell me I should forgive Monica, that family is everything, that holding on to anger will only hurt me in the long run. But here's the thing, I'm not holding on to anger. I'm holding on to boundaries. There's a difference. I'm not sitting around thinking about Monica every day, plotting revenge, stewing in bitterness. I've moved on. But moving on doesn't mean letting someone back into your life who has proven they'll hurt you and your child. Moving on means accepting what happened, learning from it, and protecting yourself from it happening again. That's what I'm doing. Emily is thriving now. She's 16, she has her license, and she drives herself to school every day in that car. The car that represents so much more than transportation. It represents resilience. It represents the fact that someone's jealousy couldn't destroy what we built together. Every time I see her pull out of the driveway, I feel proud. Proud of her for being so strong through all of this. Proud of myself for protecting her. Proud of us for not letting someone else's toxicity define our story. There are still moments when I feel sad about losing my relationship with Monica. We were close once. We had good memories together. But the person who destroyed Emily's car and tried to get her arrested isn't the sister I grew up with. That person is gone, replaced by someone consumed by jealousy and bitterness. Maybe therapy will help her find her way back. Maybe one day she'll genuinely apologize and take real responsibility for what she did. But until that day comes, if it ever does, Emily and I are just fine on our own. This experience taught me something crucial about family. Blood doesn't entitle anyone to mistreat you. Being related doesn't give someone permission to hurt your children. And maintaining family relationships isn't worth sacrificing your peace or your child's safety. I choose Emily. I will always choose Emily. And if that makes me a bad sister in Monica's eyes, I can live with that. Because I know I'm a good mother. And at the end of the day, that's what matters most to me. Let me know what state you're watching from. I love seeing where the community is tuning in from. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Have you ever had to cut off a family member for your child's sake? Have you dealt with jealousy, destroying a relationship? Tell me your stories in the comments. We're all in this together, learning how to protect ourselves and our kids from toxicity, even when it comes from the people we least expect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.